Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Welcome. I am Jasmine Allender, Dean of Humanities at UC Santa Cruz. It's my great pleasure to welcome you to our annual Celebrating the Humanities Spring Awards event for the 2021-2022 academic year. Our annual Spring Awards ceremony gives us the wonderful opportunity to acknowledge students and faculty for their excellence. After 2 years of celebrating only via Zoom, it's wonderful to join with some of you in person today. I offer a no less hearty welcome to those of you who are joining virtually. And for those on Zoom, please, we are using the Zoom webinar tool, which means the chat function is disabled. So we encourage you to use the Q&A tool to add congratulatory messages throughout the celebration. To ground our ceremony today here on the UCSC campus, I'm pleased to share our land acknowledgement. The land on which we gather is the unceded territory of the Awaswas-speaking UP tribe. The Amamutsan tribal band, comprised of the descendants of indigenous people taken to Mission Santa Cruz and San Juan Bautista during Spanish colonization of the Central Coast, is today working hard to restore traditional stewardship practices on these lands and heal from historical trauma. I want to thank each and every one of you for doing the work of the humanities during this immensely difficult time. The work you all do, the work that we do together, is essential if we want to build a just, anti-racist future. There are solutions that only people working in the humanities can provide. There are ideas that can only be conceived of and conveyed through the humanities. Questions, debates, conversations about what it means to be human, to be alive, to work to transform society for the better. In the humanities, we study the world as it has been, we critique the world as it is, and we imagine and create the engaged, inclusive democracy we aspire to be. Today, we're here to celebrate the work that you do. To all of the award winners, I celebrate you. You have shown us yet again how the humanities can sustain and change us for the better, even in the most trying times. Before we begin, I would like to thank the humanities staff for making this event happen and for their work in building the Division Spring Awards website. And they are Sadie Lynn, Mickey Arlen, Blanca Rodriguez, Amy Brunage, Carrie Napolis, Sarah Jordan, Xiao Li, as well as student Rachel True. I also extend my gratitude to all of the staff, faculty, and students in our departments and programs who have contributed so much to the success of the Humanities Division. We could not do any of this without you. And I'd like to recognize the work of the Humanities Institute. In addition to public events, the Humanities Institute supports faculty and students as we work together to produce cutting-edge humanistic knowledge that enriches our lives and our world. Thank you. I now have the honor of introducing our 11th Chancellor, Cynthia LaRive. Chancellor LaRive has a deep commitment to student success, inclusion, and equity, and is a genuine champion of the humanities. I'm personally grateful for her leadership over these last very challenging years. As an accomplished bioanalytical chemist, she came to UC Santa Cruz from UC Riverside, and before Riverside, she was a chemistry professor at the University of Kansas. A first-generation college student, Chancellor LaRive earned a bachelor's degree from South Dakota State and a master's from Purdue, both in chemistry, and her PhD in analytical chemistry at UC Riverside. We're very happy she's able to join us and deeply thankful for her support of the Humanities Division. Chancellor LaRive.
Thanks so much, Dean Allender. You know, I just want to take you in. It's so great to see you all and to be back in person. And what a great day to celebrate the humanities. I just want to congratulate all of today's award recipients, both students and faculty. It's such a pleasure to recognize the work you've done, and it speaks to your commitment to yourselves, to your colleagues, to this university, and to the humanities themselves. We have 2 new awards in the lineup this year. That's exciting. The J Family Humanities Scholarship for undergraduates focused on social justice and diversity, and the Molly Cass Sater Memorial Scholarship in Jewish Studies. Our Student Success Initiative, launched this past fall, looks to widen student access to the guidance and experiences fundamental to their education. We know that what we learn in the classroom is so important, but what we learn in scholarship, in research, and in creative activities really adds to the experiences of our students and prepares them for their life as proud alumni. So my thanks to all the families who support our students and these scholarships and fellowships, and thanks to those on campus who help to shape our students every day. So as Dean Allender mentioned, I'm a scientist by training and by thought in many ways. And you know, science has just continued to be front and center in the news this year. We've all learned so much about viruses and immunology. COVID vaccines and variants are topics that we're now fluent in. But we've also clearly seen that science alone is insufficient when examining the challenges posed by COVID-19. Research has shown us the massive disparities in COVID's impact among people of different races, ethnicities, and types of work, underscoring the need for equity-focused global health agenda. For me, COVID has been like a magnifying glass, magnifying the disparities that were already there and really amplifying them. The lived experience of any disease is also beyond science. For me, we need stories, storytelling, and storytellers. We have great ones in this room with us today. And we need to learn from history. The humanities, arts, and social sciences are all very important in this, and they've never been more important for our world and at UC Santa Cruz. The humanities are special because they help us make sense. What does it mean to be human in a time of great national and global uncertainty? They give us the tools to address profound issues such as race and identity and power and privilege. The skills the humanities teach are essential to navigating our increasingly complex world, a world our students are really on the precipice of. Many of our students will celebrate commencement next weekend. I'm so excited, aren't you? Those skills include critical thinking, reading and writing. I think listening is also an important skill. Creative expression that comes to that storytelling, and as Dean Allender says, helping us envision the future. Deep research, investigation, and analysis. Most importantly, though, the humanities help to define our future. As all of you being honored today, faculty and students, you are at the forefront of this effort. I'm very proud of the work that you do and the difference you are making. I would like to offer my congratulations to Mark Zemmelman, winner of the 2022 Distinguished Humanities Undergraduate Alumnus Award. So many of our humanities graduates, like Mark, are doing impactful and important work, and people should know of their accomplishments. I also like to offer my congratulations to Associate Professor of History, Elaine Sullivan, recipient of this year's John Dezicki's Faculty Teaching Award in the Humanities. It's a great honor and one that is deeply deserved. Elaine will be taking a group of undergraduates to Egypt later this year as part of an experiential learning project. It makes me yearn to be an undergraduate student. Again, Elaine, I'm envious of them. And thank you all for inviting me to today's festivities, and congratulations to all who are being recognized. I'm grateful to you, Dean Allender, for all that you've done to create new opportunities for the students to do research, creative projects, and preparing for students for the world beyond our campus. So thank you.
Thank you, Chancellor. So last year, we created the Distinguished Humanities Undergraduate Alumni Award to recognize an undergraduate, Banana Slug, who has led an extraordinary life and significantly impacted our world. I'm delighted to present the second UC Santa Cruz Distinguished Humanities Undergraduate Alumni Award to Mark Zemmelman. I'm going to read a little bit about him and then invite him up on to this, we'll call this stage, the podium area, to give him his award and offer some remarks. After earning his degree in history at UC Santa Cruz in 1978, Mark went on to graduate magna cum laude from University of California College of Law, formerly known as Hastings, in 1983. He then served as a judicial extern for Justice Joseph Grodin of the California Supreme Court. Following a few years practicing environmental law, he found his way to Kaiser Permanente in 2010, where he acted as Senior Vice President and General Counsel at Kaiser Foundation Hospitals and Kaiser Foundation Health Plan until his retirement from the position at the end of 2021. Following his recent retirement, Mark has agreed to serve as Senior Vice President in a consulting role to the Chief Executive Officer on a complex and critical restructuring project that has allowed him to use his skills as Kaiser's resident historian. I hope he might share more with us about that tonight. Mark's career also includes considerable time and effort promoting diversity in the legal profession. As a longtime board member of the California Minority Council Program, Kaiser credits him for their national legal department greatly increasing the use of women and minority-owned law firms, as well as developing internal programs to assure better diversity and inclusion. While an undergraduate at UC Santa Cruz, he studied with several of the campus's founding faculty, like William Hitchcock, John Beecher, who has joined us this evening, John DeZikis, and Larry Vesey. In a Beyond the Forest alumni profile written by fellow alumnus David Gleason, Mark shared that those UC Santa Cruz history professors focused on what he called a progressive and humanistic study of history. He added that understanding of the historic and philosophical foundations of political democracy, that was the intellectual foundation I developed at UC Santa Cruz. When I went to law school, I took that with me. So please join me in congratulating Mark Zemmelman on his many achievements as I present him with the award.
I didn't realize there was an award.
An actual award.
A real reward.
Real award.
Thank you. Dr.
And I will let
Thank
you.
you.
You can put it back under there.
Great. If I don't put it here, I'll forget to take it along. Before getting into some prepared remarks, two things. One is I was reading this piece of paper that shows what all of you have done that's getting recognized tonight. And it's remarkable. Academia and undergraduate work has gone past where it was when I was there. The quality of the work is just phenomenal. Looks like what I would consider graduate school work. So, congratulations to all of you. The second thing is that I put on the suit and I came out to the campus, and I wear suits regularly, but coming onto UC Santa Cruz with a suit is one of the strangest feelings. So I did wear a Jerry Garcia tie, sort of a nod to the place that I grew up in. So thank you very, very much, Chancellor Reeve, Dean Linder, Director Napoles. Really appreciate the award, but I even more appreciate the chance to talk with all of you for a few minutes. I started UC Santa Cruz in 1972 as a chemistry major. And after taking Bill Hitchcock's course in Western civilization, realized that I was actually more interested in history. The beauty of studying history is that it puts your life into context. No matter what you do professionally, whether it's in the sciences or in the humanities, it places your life in context. I came to UCSC as a chemistry major, but I came here because I knew that they had courses such as Bill Hitchcock's civilization course that was mandated for all of the students at Crown College, the science college. And it was the fact that it was trying to put science into the context of how you make the world a better place, which drew me to UCSC. it goes back to that principle, which you all know very, very well, that education, it goes back to the Greeks, right? That education is not just about learning a job skill, it's about becoming a better human being and a better citizen. And thus, in Crown, when in our first year, we all were compelled to take Bill Hitchcock's course for a full year. And what I realized in that process is that, and really what Bill taught us, is that we have agency. That even though we are born into an historical context and our ideas come out of that historical context, that we connect in our lives the past to the future, that we have agency, that we have the ability to take that current in which we were born and direct it. Not tremendously, somewhat. That's been a lifelong experience of mine, is that we can accomplish only so much, but we actually can make a real difference. And so UCSC changed my life. My father was a doctor. I had planned to become a physician. And my professors, particularly my history professors, including John Beecher, who's here tonight, convinced me that I could actually have a bigger impact on the world, not just work with individuals, but have a larger impact. And so I went to law school, and I eventually ended up at an institution that, just like UCSC, has a social mission, and that's Kaiser Permanente. Kaiser Permanente is a nonprofit institution, believe it or not. It's an $80 billion nonprofit institution, but it's a nonprofit institution. And it was born of a mission. It came out of that same movement in the 1800s that led to the civil rights movement, to the women's movement, to the labor movement. Kaiser Permanente represented the opportunity to take high-quality medicine and make it available to everyone, not just the wealthy, which is traditionally all who could afford it. And what I did at Kaiser, besides dealing with a lot of legal issues, the most important thing I did was learn that mission, learn that history, understand where it came from, and interpret it in terms of today. And so I, over time, developed a presentation on the history of Kaiser Permanente that I ended up giving several hundred times probably to thousands and thousands of our employees. And the point of it was to have them truly understand the mission of the organization, which is just as important today, if not more important than before. Because, well, in the 1930s when we were formed, people didn't have coverage and therefore couldn't get high-quality health care. Nowadays, people have coverage, but they still can't afford their coverage. They have high deductibles and high copays, and they can't afford the coverage. And so our mission as an institution is still to try to make health care, high-quality care, affordable. And thus, as one of the national leaders of Kaiser Permanente, I used the history training that I learned at UCSC. I used that in order to help steer the organization towards that mission, as it's now understood in today's context. There's two other points I want to make about the legacy of UCSC's humanities. The first is diversity. In 1972, this was a hotbed of feminism. It was one of the first campuses in the country to really bring out feminism, and it was a tremendously empowering place for the women who were here at the time. The second thing is that we were intentionally developing a focus, particularly through Merrill College, on underserved communities. When I retired from my position as general counsel at the end of this last year, the thing I was proudest of was I was able to carry forward that mission over the time as general counsel, particularly through the hiring practices that I put in place. By the time I left, a majority of our 90 lawyers were women, 35% were people of color, and the leadership team was similarly diverse. What's particularly fascinating about that process of making a diverse legal department is that as we became more diverse, we became better. It became a more capable group of lawyers. And it took me a long time to understand why. The reason is, at least I believe this, and there is some Harvard studies which indicate the same thing, is that it's uncomfortable. And because it's uncomfortable, it forces people to have to change their assumptions, to challenge their assumptions about who others are and about what society is. And so to really make diversity work, what we realized what we had to do is people had to really get to know each other. They had to understand each other's backgrounds, beliefs, needs, goals, desires. And we set up many, many, many intentional conversations. And the result is we have a group of lawyers who's extremely comfortable with talking about their own personal inherent bias, talking about their background, how it's relevant to what they do. And it's a group of people who are better thinkers, and they're more thoughtful than they were before. My second and final point about the legacy of UCSC is that, let me tell you a story. About 6 months into my job as general counsel, I asked the CEO who appointed me, why did you choose me? I'm not the smartest lawyer you could have picked, certainly not the most popular. Why'd you choose me? His answer was, because you are the one lawyer that I know who will always tell me what you're thinking, regardless of what my reaction is going to be. I used to feel guilty that I got to spend, well, I'll confess, not just 4 years, I spent 6 years, but tuition in those days was $750 a quarter. So I felt guilty that I got to spend 6 years at this beautiful place, the city on the hill. And I've realized that there is actually tremendous value to it, that there is actually tremendous purpose to being able to be isolated on the city on the hill with a group of determinedly progressive students and faculty, and among these ancient redwoods. And that is that it gives you a sense of caring and a sense of commitment to a set of values that, when you get out into that capitalist world, will represent integrity and courage. And that's really what I want to leave you with tonight, is that integrity and courage, the values that you learned here, you will carry out into the world, and I encourage you to carry them forward, to voice them. Because what I have found is that as long as you voice them respectfully, people respect values, people respect courage, they respect integrity. In fact, it's really the reason I've been successful, because I've been willing to take what I learned here and carry it forward and not be shy about it. Respectful about it, but not shy about it. So I want to thank administration, faculty, and all of you for carrying those values forward.
Thank you so much, Mark, for sharing those experiences with us. So we are moving now to the Rothman Award. Don Rothman, 39-year member of Oaks College and writing program faculty, founded the Don Rothman Endowed Award in First-Year Writing to honor the achievements of one or more first-year students in the genre of nonfiction, academic, analytic writing, and to recognize excellence in writing pedagogy. All of these awards were presented earlier today in a fully virtual ceremony, but we're lucky to have the first place award recipient, Christopher Shade, here with us tonight to read an excerpt from his essay, A Short Guide to Setting Goals. Please welcome Chris Shade.
Well, hello. It's an honor to be here today. Before I dive in, I would like to take this opportunity to thank Dr. Scheer for her support and belief in me every step of the way. She may tell you otherwise, but I would not be here without her. I wanted this paper to be a piece of hope in light of our social, economic, and political climate right now. And so I hope everyone finds an opportunity to read the article. It was truly a labor of love. I never imagined the ripple effect of this writing to culminate into me speaking here today. But as it's put in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, wherever you go, there you are. So I'll be reading a bridge section of A Short Guide to Setting Goals. We desire what we think will make us happy, and we set goals to try and make those desires a reality. The difficult part for us is that we harbor attachments to our goals, and this makes us miserable when they don't work out the way we imagined. The goals we set are inevitably imperfect. To quote Kupperman, the more difficult something was, the more dissatisfactions there were along the way, the more fondly people look back on it. My childhood interest in backpacking would be a good example. On the spontaneity of a 10-year-old's whim, I decided to try it. What could possibly go wrong? So I signed up for summer camp. Once on the trip, however, I realized how hard this goal really was. The trail was long, my feet hurt, and I was sweating profusely. The backpack felt heavier as the trail went on. Not another hill. Would it ever end? When we arrived at camp, there wasn't even a view of the ocean as I had wistfully imagined. I was disappointed because this was not how I envisioned backpacking would be. But later that evening, we made our way down a small pathway to the beach. As I approached, bright lights sparkled and glittered where my feet sunk into the wet sand. The blue flashes were microbes in the water that would bioluminesce when disturbed. This unexpected, magical experience became the highlight of my trip. Since my expectations of the perfect backpacking trip did not pan out as anticipated, I ended up enjoying this moment all the more. But I didn't realize just how much that bioluminescent experience would pique my interest in biomolecular engineering here until many years later. Had I not set an initial goal to go on a backpacking trip, I might never have experienced one of my favorite backpacking memories. It's quite possible our 10-year-old whims carry the potential to lead us to greater goals that might otherwise remain hidden from our awareness. Thank you.
Thank you, Christopher. I am pleased to announce our Deans and Chancellors Awards for this academic year. The Deans and Chancellor of UC Santa Cruz encourage outstanding scholarship and creativity among undergraduate students based on work developed in courses or programs during the academic year. This year, 9 undergraduate projects were selected to receive the Humanities Dean Awards, 3 of whom were also selected for the Chancellor's Awards. Students, when I call your name, please come to the stage to receive your award certificate and stay until I call out all of the names. And I think Carrie's gonna help me hand things out. Okay. The student whose projects earned a Humanities Dean Award in 2021-22 are Nicholas Mosher, Ariana Nocello, Chloe Seifert, Gavin Williams, Emma Willis, and Maya Zelka. Any of you here, please come up and receive your certificates. And while she is handing those out, I will also ask the recipients whose projects earned the Chancellor's Award this year to come up and join us. Plenty of room. Lucy Da Silva, Ryan Hart, and Rain Vigil. Maybe no rain? We're there. Do you need a photo? Okay. Those of you on Zoom are taking a photo. Just hold on a sec. Okay, got it. The things that we used to know how to do very easily when we did things in person, all anew. Thanks to generous gifts from UC Santa Cruz trustee and class of 71 history alumni, Linda Peterson, I was able to grant 2 students each with $2,000 for demonstrating their passion for the study of the humanities. Please join me in congratulating the following students, I will call up one at a time, as recipients of this year's Humanities Dean's Excellence Awards. Anne Nyland. And the second Humanities Dean's Excellence Award goes to Adria Vidalis. To honor his parents and show his appreciation for the education he received, Classics alumnus James Drosnin established an endowment in classical studies. The Sol and Esther Drosnin Memorial Scholarship was presented last month to Quinn Davis at the annual Carl Deppe Lecture. Classics program lecturer Christina Chu had this to say about Quinn: sensitivity to small things while ever keeping the big picture in mind. The steadfastness to take on a complicated project whose endpoint is only glimpsed, a fascination with poetry matched by the ability to interpret text by explicating the ideas and the artistry that went into their composition. These qualities, essential for learning ancient Greek, alike describe Quinn Davis, the 2022 recipient of the Sol and Esther Drosnin Memorial Scholarship in Classical Studies. A double major in classics and literature, Quinn has applied herself to learning the ancient language of the Greeks with zeal and purpose. We're grateful to James Drosnin for establishing this award to honor the remarkable achievements of a student who has embarked on the study of ancient Greek, an endeavor whose difficulty is more than matched by the delight and joy of gaining the tools to read the works of Homer, Sappho, and Sophocles. A thoughtful reader of literature, Quinn is poised to use her study of Greek to reveal new insights about very old texts and show how enduring the words of ancient Greek authors are. Congratulations, Quinn. We have had a few changes to the program tonight. Our student award recipient for the Kadri Memorial Award is not able to be here at the last minute, so we'll recognize their achievements on our Spring Awards website, which can be found on the UCSC Humanities website under the Academics tab. I would now like to invite Professor of Feminist Studies Madhvi Murthy to present the next award, and please a round of applause for Professor Murthy, who just earned tenure.
Thank you, Deana Linda. It's my honor to present the Bettina Aptheker Award this year. The Bettina Aptheker Award supports either an undergraduate or graduate student whose work relates to sexual, gendered, and/or racial violence to further their research or to do community service. The award was established in honor of Distinguished Professor of Feminist Studies Bettina Aptheker at the time of her retirement in spring 2018. A radical feminist, political activist, UCSC alumna, and history scholar with a national reputation, Bettina Aptheker is one of UC Santa Cruz's legendary professors. having taught one of the country's largest and most influential introductory feminist studies courses for more than 3 decades at UC Santa Cruz. She has exposed her deeply compelling ideas to more than 16,000 students. I'm delighted to present this award to Feminist Studies graduate student Jess Fournier. Jess sees their work, which traces, and I'm quoting, the intellectual and institutional history of the US transformative justice movement against sexual violence, particularly in the San Francisco Bay Area, starting with its emergence in the late 1990s, as intersecting with Dr. Apthekar's legacy in bringing historical inquiry to bear on an underexplored social movement context. Unfortunately, Jess couldn't be with us here today, but has sent a video acceptance speech, which we can share with you now.
Hello, my name is Jess Fournier, and I am extremely honored to have been selected to receive the 2022 Bettina Aptheker Award for Research or Community Service on Sexual, Gendered, and Racial Violence. This award supports my dissertation research, which traces the intellectual and institutional history of the U.S. transformative justice movement against sexual violence in the San Francisco Bay Area starting in the late 1990s. In particular, I investigate how the transformative justice movement interacts with, is shaped by, and resists larger political and economic trends, including financialized capitalism, transformations in U.S. higher education, and the erosion of left political movements. I am humbled to join the distinguished scholars and activists who have received this award in the past. I would like to thank my advisor, Dr. Nick Mitchell, and members of the selection committee, Dr. Gina Ulisse, Dr. Jenny Kelly, and Dr. Madhvi Murthy. I would also like to thank Dr. Bettina Aptheker, whose contributions to the field and to UC Santa Cruz cannot be overstated. It is an honor to receive this award in your name. Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Carla Fertero. Oh, I am going to take this off. And I'm a professor of literature and history of consciousness, and I'm faculty convener of the Speculatively Scientific Fictions of the Future Research Cluster, better known as SSFF. And so also I run the Koha Gunderson Prize competition. The Koha Gunderson Prizes are sponsored by the SSFF Research Cluster and housed in the Humanities Institute. They're made possible by alumni Peter Koha and James Gunderson. They're awarded on an annual basis as the result of a campus-wide competition among all students. The award is for a creative piece of social or scientific speculative fiction, which can be in any medium or genre, but must be available for review and assessment and ultimately able to be shared with the public, whether through an exhibition, a performance, a proposed course, or a future publication. Contestants are encouraged to base their submission in actually existing worldly conditions, discernible in the submission itself. I want to take a moment just to thank Laura Martin at THI for assisting with the competition, and graduate students Matt Polson and Michael McCarran, jury consultants for the awards. And of course, thanks to Peter and Jim for their wonderful brainstorming and their enthusiastic sponsorship. I'm going to start with the honorable mentions, and then I'll tell you the awards. In the honorable mention category for this award, Carlos Aguirre, an undergraduate in film and digital media, for Integrated Food Nexus, a system of food production, processing, and distribution, combining all systems of the food cycle into one efficient center. Annika Berry, an MFA candidate in environmental art and social practice for Trash Vortex Fiction, which is a growing dump of literary fragments that imagines a way to write and think through trash and to brainstorm emergent futures from the current realities of plastic waste. And now I'll present the Koha Gunderson Prizes in Speculative Futures. There are 3 awards. When I announce your name and project, please come up to accept the prize and make a few remarks. And I think one of our folks aren't here today. Aiden Andreasen for Talos Machine, a work of interactive fiction. Aiden is an undergraduate in art and design, games, and playable media. This interactive murder mystery requires the skills and talents of its players to solve the crime. The investigation leads readers through a future world of hyper-intelligent machines and augmented biological minds, where civilization spans the solar system and history can be simulated on a subatomic scale. Congratulations, Aiden.
All right, I know most of you don't know me, so I don't want to bore you with a long speech or anything, but check the game out, I guess. You know, it's called Talos Machine. We can look it up, and you'll probably find it pretty soon. I think it came out rather well, and a lot of people seem to like it. So go ahead and check it out if it sounds interesting. And thanks for the award.
Thank you. And Raphael's not doing a video, right? Okay. The second award goes to Rafael Franco for Future Farmers of America, Poems from the Year 2054. Raphael is a PhD student in the Literature Department. This compelling collection translates personal and collective issues into a series of bilingual poems dealing with the critical situation of immigrant and migrant farm workers in California and pointing toward different possible political futures shaped by labor organizing, big tech, and big ag. Raphael can't be here to accept the award. Congratulations, Raphael. And finally, Chloe Rickards for Cordyceps, Watercolors and Accompanying Description. Chloe is a graduate student in ecology and evolutionary biology. These beautiful and haunting watercolor illustrations depict an invasive fungus with its fruiting bodies breaking through its hosts. The descriptions, mimicking the field notes of a disease ecologist, cleverly and accurately describe this imagined infestation, raising interesting questions for ecological futures and disease ecology. Congratulations, Chloe. Did you get that in the field?
I did not, actually.
Here you go.
Thank you.
He wants to take a picture.
Thank you.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. Hi, everybody. My name is Chloe. I'm a bit of a stranger here, coming from the Ecology and Evolutionary Biology Department. And really, this hasn't been a very easy past couple of years between COVID and the injustice that just continues to happen all around us. And it's actually really the art community that has encouraged me to keep going. And more specifically, in peak COVID times, I found myself growing more involved with the remote immersive horror community, which kind of gave me a love for horrific art, as hopefully shown by this Cordyceps project. And I also want to give a shout out to the speculative fiction author N.K. Jemisin, who piqued my interest in this genre to begin with. She's incredible. Check out the 5th season. And thank you to my partner, Richard, who's been incredibly supportive these past 2 months while I've been in a cast and in a boot. And thank you so much for encouraging me to keep making time for art despite the demands of a science degree. And thank you very much to James Gunderson and Peter Koha for making this award possible. And thank you so much to Carla in the selection committee for this award and your feedback and support.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. It's such an inspiring event. My name is Jennifer Tsun, and I'm a professor in the literature department, and it is my great pleasure to present the next award. This scholarship is awarded in memory of Kenneth Andrew Graham, a gifted writer and graduate of UC Santa Cruz's creative writing program, who passed away in 2009. His parents, John and Dawn Graham, established the Kenneth Andrew Graham Memorial Scholarship Endowment in 2013. Presented annually by the Creative Writing Program in UCSC's Literature Department, the award is given based on financial need for a student showing a quest for knowledge and curiosity, who is accepted in the Creative Writing Program and recommended by a faculty member. I am delighted to present this year's Kenneth Andrew Graham Memorial Scholarship to Kushal Gujader. Yay! Having Kushal in class is a little like having a teaching assistant or a visiting scholar in the room. He has a way of being deeply engaged in discussions while also stepping back to see the big picture, to synthesize. He's always attuned to people, both inside and outside the room. Asking generative questions that students love to answer has become his trademark. What makes his questions so great is that they're born of a genuine curiosity and concern for others. Constantly working to weave concepts from his successive classes together and passionate about making discoveries with his peers, he is the ideal recipient for this scholarship. While the Grahams couldn't be here this evening, John Graham let us know that Kushal's interest in teaching is very much in keeping with Ken's spirit. The Grahams wish him much success in the future. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much. I would like to thank Jennifer Tsun, Mika Perks, and the creative writing faculty for supporting me during the pandemic and allowing me the freedom to explore literature in the classroom unrestrained. There is a lineage we can always observe. You don't need to obsess over Beckett to see it, though that's happened to me. The students at UCSC, my friends, we have a joy in learning together because we, maybe unknowingly, contain the spirit of students before us. Like Kenneth Andrew Graham, the saintly slacker as he called himself. These friends, the projects I'm a part of, professors who teach with magic like Jennifer, they save students like me who are lost until we find poems in class that we decide are so important we must send them to everyone we know. Thank you to Dawn and John Graham for envisioning their son Kenneth as the student we should all try to be. And thank you to Kenneth for living a life worthy of the words he wrote. Oh, and also thanks to me, Mum.
Hello again. I'll present the next set of scholarships. Made possible by the generosity of Greg and Martha J., the J Family Humanities Scholarship recognizes an undergraduate student with financial need who demonstrates a strong interest in the study of the humanities and has an academic focus on social justice and diversity. For the 2021-22 academic year only, because this is a new scholarship, one award of $5,000 was given to a student in fall 2021 and another in spring 2022. Going forward, the award will be given annually in the spring quarter. In the fall, the J Family Humanities Scholarship was awarded to Michaela Jordan. The selection committee was impressed with Michaela's passion for history and ethnic studies. In her application, Michaela wrote, and I quote, "For as long as I can remember, I have always loved history and the power of understanding my own history. I especially loved history focusing on various social justice movements, whether it was the many feminist movements, the Black Panther movement, or the history of various LGBT movements, including Stonewall. I had always found this the most inspiring, end quote. She went on to explain how she plans to share her passion as a high school teacher after earning a master's degree and teaching credential at UCSC, so more secondary education students learn the importance of critical race and ethnic studies. This scholarship will help her have the means to follow this exciting path. I want to invite Michaela to the podium now to take her certificate and share a few thoughts with us. Congratulations. Thank you. The photo, sorry.
Hi. I want to first start off with the main reason why I applied to UC Santa Cruz. As mentioned earlier, UC Santa Cruz is so progressive and so passionate about what they believe in. And I feel like I am as well. And being around like-minded people, being around amazing professors, it's made me more passionate. It's inspired me to want to teach in the future. And I'm really thankful for that opportunity. I'm really thankful for all the support. And I'm super thankful that the J family read my application, listened to my story, learned so much about my past, and gave me the opportunity to continue to learn, continue to afford college, and become successful in my future. Sorry, I'm so nervous. But I am so thankful and so grateful to the J family for this opportunity to continue my education with a little bit more ease. And thank you so much.
This spring, the J Family Humanities Scholarship was awarded to Maria Teresa Renee Haley. A brilliant student, wonderful writer, and engaged interlocutor, Maria shared in her application that, and I quote, as a low-income single mother and full-time university student in one of the most expensive places to live, there's nothing left over besides just getting by. And most of that getting by, for me, is done on grit and determination alone, end quote. She was awarded this scholarship to work on a project focused on motherhood in American society, with a specific highlight on mothers from disadvantaged backgrounds. The scholarship will allow her to develop an art show that includes storytelling and mixed medium images from mothers from disadvantaged backgrounds. Maria notes that her intention is, and I quote, to highlight the realities of motherhood as a radical act and to contribute to a political shift in consciousness around motherhood. Maria, please come up to the podium.
Hi, everyone. I prefer listening more than talking, so this is hard for me, so thank you for listening. I like to start everything by giving thanks to my mother, Deetra, who gave me life, and to my 5-year-old child, River, who continues to give me life every day. With everything going on in the world right now, the ongoing violence of racial capitalism, and the misogynist threats to basic human rights, I feel glad to be in a place where a commitment to social justice is recognized. I feel lucky to be here at UC Santa Cruz and deeply honored to learn from some of the phenomenal professors here. To name a few, Professor Madhavi Murthy, Professor Naya Jones, Professor Nick Mitchell, and Professor Manju Kone. It feels extra special to receive this award from someone whom I deeply respect and admire. Professor Murthy, you're such an inspiration to me, and I'm so grateful for all your support. As a low-income single mother, taking on full-time university studies is no small task. I can't imagine being able to do it all without the support that I've received, like this award today. Not only does this award help to support my academic and artistic goals as a storyteller, focusing on motherhood as a revolutionary act, it also helps me to feel like I belong here. The gift of feeling a sense of belonging is beyond words. Thank you to the J family for this award. It means so much to me. And I hope my work here as an activist scholar contributes to UC Santa Cruz in a way that supports a climate of liberation.
Hello, everyone. I'm Elaine Sullivan, the Director of Undergraduate Education in the Department of History this year. And I'm very happy to be presenting the Siobhan O'Neill Memorial Scholarship, founded by Siobhan's sister, Patricia O'Neill, and other of her family and friends. This scholarship supports a history student with an interest in art or government, based on merit. The inaugural scholarship was given in the 2019-2020 academic year. And I'm delighted to award the 2021-22 Siobhan O'Neill Memorial Scholarship to Brianna Isabella Aispuro. Brianna Isabella is a history major with a focus on the history of East Asia, South Asia, and the Pacific, with a minor in the history of art and visual culture. Once Brianna Isabella has completed her degree here at UCSC, she hopes to use the skills she's built across these disciplines to pursue a career in museums or archives. One of her history professors describes Brianna Isabella's coursework as, quote, clear, thoughtful, and closely engaged with the materials. And this professor commented on the sophisticated way that Brianna Isabella brought her own grounding in art history to engage with the primary source materials in classroom discussions. She was described as a leader in her history classes and impressive for her intellectual curiosity. So I'd like to congratulate Brianna Isabella and call her to the stage.
Hello, everybody. Sorry, I'm a little nervous, but I just want to say thank you to my donors and especially my history professors for encouraging me to realize the importance of history in not only realizing what has happened in the past, but encouraging others to really think about how to think about our future and learning from the past in this way. I just want to thank, in particular, Professor Aso, Professor Yang, and Professor Christie, who are all here tonight in encouraging me to continue my studies and really giving me the tools that I need to continue my studies. So thank you.
Hi, everybody. I'm Nathaniel Deutsch. I'm a professor of history, and I'm also the faculty director of the Humanities Institute here at the university, at least for a few more minutes. As some of you know, I've been doing this for a while, and I will be stepping down as the director, and actually the person who will be succeeding me after a year in which Karen Kinoshita, I don't think is here, who's a professor of literature, will be serving as the interim director, but then Pranav Anand, who is a professor of linguistics, is going to be taking over as the faculty director in a year from now. And I know the Institute will be in great hands with you, Pranav. One of the things that I've most enjoyed about being the faculty director is this event. And I've been doing this for around 10 years, and it's so inspiring to me. A couple of people have already said that, and it really is inspiring to be in the presence of all of these people and see what the work that they're doing, and also actually to serve on the committee that has selected at least a number of these awards that I'll be announcing, and to read the work myself and to learn so much every year from doing so. So I'm not sure if I mentioned, I'm also the director of the Center for Jewish Studies here at the university, and so the following award, which I'm going to announce, is very close to my heart. It's a new award. It was created in 2020 by Professor William F. Sater, who established the scholarship endowment in tribute and memory of his mother, Molly Cass Sater. William Sater is the parent of class of 1991 Kresge alumna Rachel Sater, who studied Jewish studies and history of art and visual culture at the university. The Molly Cass Sater Memorial Scholarship in Jewish Studies supports one or more undergraduate students with financial need who display a strong interest in Jewish studies. The inaugural Molly Cass Sater Memorial Scholarship in Jewish Studies goes to Maya Zelka this year. Maya is a history major who has taken numerous Jewish studies courses and also received a Jewish Studies Undergraduate Research Award and, as we'll hear from me in a few minutes, one of the Humanities Institute Undergraduate Research Fellowship Awards for her work as well. Her project, Pens of Iron, I think it's a great title, Pens of Iron, Echoes of the Psalms of David in Hebrew Poetry from Samuel Hanagid to Yehuda Amichai, is really a tour de force. It looks at 3,000 years of Hebrew language poetry, different phases actually, because Hebrew changed over time. It's a really remarkable work. In addition to her scholarly achievements, Maya has served as editor of Leviathan Jewish Journal, the student-run publication at UC Santa Cruz, devoted to Jewish topics that is about to celebrate its 50th anniversary. I think that makes it the oldest continuously running such publication in the United States. So please join me in congratulating Maya Zelka.
I wrote down what I was going to say. So I first wanted to thank the Sater family for this extremely generous scholarship. It's something that will allow me to continue my research on Jewish topics and support my study abroad in Jerusalem in the fall. So I'm extremely thankful for it. Thank you. I also wanted to thank the Jewish Studies Department, and specifically Professor Bruce Thompson. You all can clap, because he's great. For encouraging me to explore Jewish poetry, communities, and history in an incredibly meaningful way and with humor and perspective. So Bruce, thank you for your guidance this year. Something that made this year really, really special to me is the different opportunities I had to study topics I feel interested in and passionate about. I have discovered so many Jewish stories, poems, music, art, history, and spirituality this year, so it's been really, really special. Thank you.
Okay, the next award is the Humanities Institute, also known as THI, Undergraduate Research Award. There's 9 of them. I'm going to introduce the award and then ask everyone to come up and we can take a group photograph. The THI fellowships encourage undergraduate students to pursue original projects that build on the research and writing skills they gained during their humanities coursework at UC Santa Cruz. The experience enriches students' learning and prepares them for future opportunities as they work closely with faculty mentors on projects of interest. If there are students here who haven't done this yet, I would really encourage you to do so in the future. This year, THI has increased the Undergraduate Research Award amounts to $1,000 to further support the next generation of humanities researchers. The winner of the Bertha and Melkonian Prize for the top proposal will receive an additional $1,000 award. I'm delighted to present the Humanities Institute's Undergraduate Research Fellows of 2021-22 with these certificates of recognition. Actually, Carrie will...
Will you just do one at a time and then it'll make it easier?
Absolutely. So please join me in congratulating the following student fellows. First, we have Elise Benton, who is a student of history and classical studies, and her project is Praise the Gods and Kings, a look at Ptolemaic festivals in Alexandria.
Thank you.
You're welcome. To stay here, yeah. Next we have Leah Bonver, Literature and Classical Studies. whose project is Weaving Wiles and Women in Ancient Greek Literature. Next, we have Teresa Bostic in History and Sociology, and her project is Santa Cruz's Elusive Figure, London Nelson. Magali Chonteco, Literature and Spanish Studies, Design, Production, and Intellectual Property, the Evolution of Fast Fashion in the Age of Social Media. Uriel Hershaye, Literature and Music, 20th Century Myth, the Epic in Modern Poetry. Matthew Kogan, Linguistics and Literature, When Complexity Becomes Too Complex, Agreement Attraction in Embedded Questions. Dylan Reinders, Applied Linguistics, Compare and Contrast of Inclusivity in ESL Education in Various Metropolitan Areas Across the United States. I don't think Dylan is here this evening. Okay. Maya Zelka, History, Pens of Iron, Echoes of the Psalms of David, and Hebrew Poetry from Samuel Hanagid to Yehuda Amitai. And last, but certainly not least, because she's also won the Bertha Melkonian Prize, is Sage Michaels, History and Jewish Studies, The Overlooked Women of the Fight for Irish Independence. Congratulations to everybody.
Quite a procession. My name is Pranav Anand. I am professor in the linguistics department, and I'm also chair, which is why I'm here today presenting the George Hankemer Outstanding Graduate Student Instructor in Linguistics Award. I'm thrilled to be presenting this inaugural award. The department has a long tradition of excellence in linguistics pedagogy, for which it's well known across the discipline worldwide. And this is in no small part due to George Hankemer, who came to UCSC in 1980 and founded the department, and also developed the strategy, the plan, the form, and the function of the department. It's hard to overstate his achievements. But he brought with him a distinctive way of teaching syntax, his chosen subfield in linguistics, and that has led to what is now renowned worldwide as the Santa Cruz method of teaching linguistics. And many of the practices that he brought with him have influenced the undergraduate curriculum in our department in general. And so, as all good linguists do, I have a bulleted list. So these characteristics emphasize, one, the classroom as an intellectual community to which students and instructors equally contribute. Two, experiential learning by the students in class and on their own through assignments and group projects. And three, an emphasis on developing the habits that produce clarity of thought and expression. Graduate students are a central presence for undergraduate instruction like this. They're essential for teaching, and they're integral for the intellectual life. Our undergraduates constantly talk about how our graduate students in the classroom and outside of the classroom are they're saintly intercessors, but also their way of activating their own intellectual engagement. On the eve of George's retirement from the department, something that we in the department and I think the campus cannot believe is actually happening, we're presenting these inaugural Hancomer Outstanding Graduate Instructor Awards to two students, Morvenna Hooks and Stephanie Rich. And so I'm going to, if you want to come up, I'm going to say a little bit about you while I do that. And don't worry, you don't have to say anything. I know they're both very scared about that. Morwenna, first, is a fourth-year PhD student who has developed an extensive record of outstanding teaching in semantics, her chosen area, as well as other classes in the undergraduate curriculum. And she's praised by students for her, quote, gentle but to the point style of teaching, that is very much Morvenna, and for cultivating a, quote, communicative and engaging learning environment, and for being, finally, quote, kind, helpful, and encouraging as a presence in the classroom. So congratulations and thank you, Morvenna. Last but not least, Stephanie Rich is also a fourth year in the PhD program who has demonstrated an outstanding track record for teaching across our undergraduate curriculum. She's praised for her, quote, patience and her, quote, openness and friendly attitude, and for empowering students to, quote, engage with the course material and feel as if they can succeed. Together, first, thank you so much, Stephanie. Together, Morvenna and Stephanie epitomize the lofty standards that George has set for all teachers in our program. And on behalf of the department, I'm delighted to congratulate both Morvenna and Stephanie and to thank them for their many contributions to the department's pedagogical excellence. Thank you so much.
I'm back, and that means we are moving on to the last set of awards for this evening. I am delighted to present Associate Professor Elaine Sullivan with the 2021-2022 Dezikis Faculty Teaching Award. A few things about Professor Sullivan. An outstanding instructor and mentor. The nomination packet from the History Department was replete with praise and accolades from undergraduate and graduate students, as well as faculty colleagues. History Department Chair Lynn Westerkamp describes Professor Sullivan as an inspiring teacher who has the ability to mesmerize students, grasp and maintain their attention, and create the conditions for learning that translate into intellectual production. Dr. Bruce Thompson, an outstanding lecturer in the History Department, observed that her technological wizardry was light years beyond anything I've seen in any other classroom. One graduate student working as her teaching assistant described the way that Sullivan's 3D digital constructions brought a lecture room to life. Quote, from one moment to the next, students went from quietly scribbling lecture notes to buzzing with excitement, leaning forward for a better view. Through Dr. Sullivan's gifted teaching, students learn new approaches and master new tools. She was lauded for constructing sequences of assignments to enable students to build the confidence and skills needed to do their work. She even created tutorials for the digital materials that she expected students to use. Across the board, students found her, it's a long list, welcoming, approachable, compassionate, enthusiastic, encouraging, incredibly supportive, and extremely dedicated. Repeatedly, students remarked upon her focus on them as individuals and concern for their success. Students found themselves treated as equal learners. One student said that her methods were not placing her knowledge above those of her students. Rather, she was a mentor that led students to a more structured yet flexible way of thinking. It was as if someone turned on the light bulb in your head that you didn't even realize was there. Students also discussed in moving detail the impact she's had on their lives. One student asserted that she owes her own academic successes to Professor Sullivan's guidance and encouragement. Another credited Dr. Sullivan for helping her find her own passion in history and own aspirations for future research, while a third noted that Professor Sullivan's warmth, ability to cut across disciplines, and innovative spirit has pushed her to innovate in her own work. Congratulations, Professor Elaine Sullivan.
There have only been a few moments in my life as an instructor where I have felt extreme panic. I'm naturally an outgoing person, and I've never had public speaking anxiety, so most of my career I've really enjoyed being in the classroom with my students. But that day in March 2020, when we UCSC instructors got an email that said, "We're going on COVID lockdown. You have 7 days to turn your house into a streaming classroom and your spring class into an online course," I broke out into a cold sweat. Now, many of you know me and know that my own research and teaching uses 3D, digital mapping, all kinds of fun technology. So perhaps I was better prepared for that moment than most. But I thought that it meant that out of all the people, I should be able to give my students something more than just a sad version of a Zoom lecture. I wanted to show my students that we could Tim Gunn our learning, that we could make it work, that we could still do something meaningful. But how would my students write a 12-page research paper with the libraries closed? Or more importantly, how could we create a feeling of learning together when we were all sitting alone in our black Zoom boxes? And I remember brooding that whole night, but the next day I woke up and I was determined with an idea of what to try. And I think I emailed Jody Green that morning, I probably wasn't the only one, with the list of ideas and said, "What do you think?" And so I'd like to thank Jody, now Associate Vice Provost for Teaching and Learning, and the CITL staff for the incredible effort they all made during spring, summer, and fall of 2020 to answer our questions, post so many resources in such a short time, and encourage all of us instructors to find ways to keep teaching despite the crisis. And it was a heroic effort by all of them, and it helped me tremendously. I'm pretty sure that not everything that I did succeeded in the classroom, but I tried. My online students that year worked together to create collaborative videos explaining the gendered history of an ancient Egyptian object. We virtually walked through and analyzed painted relief scenes in 3D photogrammetric models of Theban tombs posted online by my colleagues in Egypt. And in one class, I personally navigated through Assassin's Creed Origin game, set in the ancient city of Alexandria, and via Zoom chat, the students collectively critiqued the game design based on our own reading of the primary source texts and the archaeology of the city. Thankfully, there was a tour version of the game, so my avatar did not have to karate kick anyone, because that would have been beyond my abilities. Now, the thing that most impressed me about my students was that they were all game for this. They trusted me, and they came along for whatever ride I took them on quarter after quarter. So the 3 students I've asked to come here today and receive the Dezikis Award are Athena, Ryan, and Sage. And all of them were in my classes before our turn to remote teaching. And then they stayed with me through the remote quarters. And they were all back in the classroom with me, masked, but in person, in fall or winter of this year. And it was students like them who kept showing up, who kept doing the work, and brought their enthusiasm and interest despite the challenges that they faced that encouraged me to keep going. And so I would like to thank them and the many other of my talented undergraduate and graduate students who persevered throughout the past 2 years. I'd also like to thank my colleagues, Erin Zachmeyer, Associate Director for Instructional Design and Development, Christy Golubiewski-Davis, Director of the Digital Scholarship Commons at McHenry, and Josh Tuthill, Digital Scholarship Librarian, all of whom helped me design and implement digital assignments quickly and with creativity in these past 2 years. So I'm very honored to receive this award in memory of legendary professor of history, John Dezikis, and I would like to thank the undergraduate and graduate students and colleagues, including Bruce, who took time to nominate me. So thank you so much. So if I can call Sage, Ryan, and Athena up here.
So just to explain, for those of you who might be at the ceremony for the first time, the Dezikis Teaching Award allows the award recipient, this year Elaine Sullivan, to pick students and give them the Elaine Sullivan Scholarship. So those 3 students, she chose to come up and receive a scholarship in her name. So I would like to ask everyone who won an award, could you please stand so we can give you one last round of applause? Congratulations. I'm so happy to see so many of you here this evening. Thank you so much for joining us, and I hope you can stick around for a reception now. Thank you.